One day I was sitting in my room reading Jawabis when I received a call from my dear friend, Muhammad Arshad Abbasi. Arshad is a resident of a beautiful village in the Neelam Valley, Pakistan. He is like a brother to me, a piece of my heart. Though we have many friends, I share a soul-deep bond with Arshad. Our friendship began in 1991 during a meeting in Karachi. And God willing, it will last until my final breath. Sahil buddy, Arshad said to me. Yeah, Arshad, I replied. Sahil, a girl just called me. She was asking for your number and she hasn't stopped crying. I was taken aback. Why is she crying? I asked, surprised. Arshad explained. She just keeps saying, please. Just let me talk to brother Sahil once. It's strange. She's desperate to speak with you. Yes, Sahil brother, Arshad continued. She's very persistent. She said she read one of your stories in a newspaper, and ever since then, she hasn't stopped weeping. I realized she must have read your work, because you often write for magazines. And that's how she remembered you. I told him, send me her number. Sure, I'll message it to you right now, he said. After hanging up the phone, I began to wonder why this girl wanted to contact me, and what her problem could be. While I was lost in these thoughts, Arshad messaged me her number. When I called, a very innocent, sweet, and bird-like voice answered. I offered my greetings and then introduced myself. She spoke up. Brother, I read one of your stories in the newspaper. It made me cry so much that ever since, I've had this deep desire to speak with you. Thank you, I replied. She continued, Brother, my name is Dilawais, and I'm calling from Kushab. We are also going through a pain similar to the one you wrote about. When we read your story, it brought all our own sorrow back to the surface. How so, sister? I asked. She said, Brother, my father was sentenced to death by hanging, even though he was completely innocent. Hearing this sent a shock through my body. How did that happen? I asked, stunned. She began to cry again. With great effort, I managed to calm her down. Then, she narrated the story of how a great and brave man, her father, was sent to the gallows. Why did this execution happen? Who leveled the false accusations? Dear readers, as you read this story, you will realize, just as we do at Jawabiyars, that while new stories emerge every day, you may never have read a story quite like this one. Lovers of romance only know about the madness of love, but let me tell all of you, our society is full of people who take pleasure in deceiving others. Sometimes, a person fails to recognize a wolf in sheep's clothing and loses everything. Today, the sacred bond of friendship has been turned into a joke. People play with lives in the name of friendship. Hearts are broken, and God knows what else. It is baffling why these cruel people don't feel any remorse before committing such acts. Life is full of ups and downs. Those who stand firm and possess the strength to face circumstances succeed, while the cowardly and lazy always complain about their fate. Hard work is the key to success. Friendship is not a crime, but pure friendship leads a person to their destination. However, where friendship is built on lust or greed, it never lasts. Instead, people just use each other and then walk away, leaving lives ruined. The rest of their days are spent in misery. The word friendship belongs to the realm of purity. True friendship never changes its color, nor can its meaning be altered even over thousands of years. Dear readers, let us now hear this story in her own words. Story filled with pain and the betrayal of a trusted friend. Rias was born in a district of Kushab. At the time of his birth, his father, Muhammad Nuwas, celebrated greatly. His father was a well-known and honest man in their area. Rias had one biological brother. Rias himself was a striking man 6 feet tall, with bright brown eyes and a mole on his cheek. His hands were small, almost like a child's. Rias spent the first 14 years of his life in his village with his father. When he reached adulthood, he moved to Karachi, where he lived for 5 years. After that, he served in the Pakistan Army for 15 years. After completing his 15 years of service, he was forced to leave the army due to some personal constraints and returned to his village. During his time in the army, he married a woman named Farzana. They had 2 daughters, Dil Awais and Moish. From the very beginning, Rias had told his wife that he wanted Dil Awais to become a doctor and Moish to become an engineer. He loved his daughters more than life itself. One day, he was sitting in his field with his family when a man named Malanji approached him. Malanji greeted Rias with a salam. Rias responded politely and asked, "Brother, who are you, and where are you from? I don't believe I recognize you." Malanji replied, "I am also seeing you for the first time. I am wandering around, and actually, your cousin Yusuf sent me to you. My name is Mal—" Hearing the name of his cousin Yusuf, Rias was overjoyed because he hadn't heard from him in a long time. It felt as though Yusuf had sent him a piece of himself. Rias welcomed Malanji warmly, showing him great hospitality and serving him cold lassi. Suddenly, Malanji said, "You need to come with me. There is some urgent work. If you come with us, the job will get done." Rias didn't ask about the nature of the work. He was a king-hearted and simple man. Trusting everyone was in his nature. However, his mother would often warn him, "Son, do not trust everyone blindly." Kahani ab boat dilchasp, interesting mod par, hi jahan ek, and John Shakes, Malangi, QN3, Huihai. Rias was a very noble and loving person. Showing kindness to others was part of his nature. Without a second thought, he left with Malanji. When they arrived at the designated location, he saw Malanji's friends, and among them was his cousin Yusuf. Seeing Yusuf, Rias leaped with joy and greeted him with a smile. "How are you, Yusuf?" Rias asked. "I'm doing well, Rias. Why don't you tell us about yourself? If everything is fine at home, then let's just relax for now. We can talk tomorrow, since you've had a long journey and need some rest." Yusuf then showed Rias to a room to rest. That evening, when Rias woke up, they all ate together. Yusuf introduced Rias to all his friends. It was a grand bungalow. Rias, being a true friend, shook hands with everyone, and from there, their friendship began to grow. Rias stayed there for a few days. Then, one day, Malanji invited Rias to a gathering. Just as Rias went to meet them, the police suddenly raided the place. Rias was completely unaware of what was happening. He didn't know why the police were there, or why these people were trying to hide from them. In the midst of the chaos, the police arrested everyone, including It was then that Rias realized these were not good people and were involved in illegal activities. But, by then, it was too late. The police accused Rias of being involved in a bank robbery and murdering a man named Afzal. Several other banks had also been robbed. Rias was in total shock. "I haven't killed anyone," he pleaded. When Malanji was first sent to Rias by Yusuf, the murder had already taken place. Yusuf had framed his own cousin. Rias looked at them with disbelief. But everyone even Yusuf was testifying against him. All the evidence was stacked against Rias, and as a result, he was denied bail. At every court hearing, his friends maintained that Rias was the one who committed the murder. Rias's eyes filled with tears, not just from the betrayal of his friends, but because of Yusuf's cruelty. He was helpless. He couldn't do anything as everyone turned against him. When a person is caught in such a misfortune, even their own kin can become enemies. It turned out Riaz had a half-brother named Mum, who went to court and testified that Riaz had been involved in thefts and robberies for a long time. Riaz was stunned. He had no idea his brother would give such a statement. Previously, Mumtaz had even come to Riaz asking for the hands of his daughters, Dil, Awais and Mawish, in marriage for his own sons. Riaz had refused, saying, "Brother Mumtaz, my daughters are very young. I am in jail right now, and I cannot marry them off until Dil, Awais becomes a doctor and Mawish becomes an engineer." Mumtaz's refusal to help was a heavy blow. Following this, he spoke words about Riaz in court that no one could have ever imagined. He never considered for a moment that Riaz was his own brother, born of the same father. This cruel man felt no sympathy for his brother, nor for his nieces, who were now left without a protector. He didn't care how much danger Riaz's life was in because of his actions. If only Mumtaz had thought about this, he might not have acted so heartlessly, but the deed was done. Dear readers, I salute that great and brave mother who, despite living in poverty, took loans from people just to provide her son with a life of some comfort in jail. Every month, she would go to meet him, bringing food, supplies, and cash to ensure her son stayed healthy. She had everyone in the family pray for him. She even traveled to see spiritual elders, asking them to pray for Riaz's release. She traveled extensively and endured many hardships for his sake. But one day, fate took another turn. She suffered a fall, and both of her legs became paralyzed. Dear readers, here Riaz's luck took another hit. His mother's support was now physically gone, though she continued to pray for his release in every prayer and gave charity on his behalf. A mother is, after all, a mother. There are mothers in this world who would wander the streets for their children but never let a frown show on their faces. Riaz's mother was poor, but her heart was rich for her son in jail. While a mother's shadow is usually a cool shelter, Riaz's mother was now disabled. Despite this, she remained constantly worried for him. After his mother, the biggest blow was dealt by his cousin. Then, the family of the deceased, the man who was killed, was contacted. They were asked to forgive an innocent man and have him released from jail. But nothing came of it. No testimony was given in Riaz's favor. Instead, all witnesses were testifying against him, and the court only looks at evidence. Consequently, Riaz was sentenced to death by hanging. Riaz spent a long time in jail, and when the final verdict came, everything turned dark for him. It was a tragedy. An innocent man was to be hanged. Everyone was weeping, including his old friends. Oh God, what kind of world is this? What have I done to deserve this? Riaz cried out, "Oh God, why this pain?" In bad times, even friends become strangers. When the boat starts to sink, even the sailor abandons it. Dear readers, Riaz was in a state of utter despair because of his brother's betrayal. How could a brother do such a thing? When we pray for children, we ask God to bless us with a son. But dear readers, if a brother is going to be like this, it would be better if he were never born at all. It would have been better if a daughter had been born in his place. May God never give anyone a brother like Mu. What kind of a brother is he who doesn't stand by you in times of need? What kind of a life is it when a brother doesn't show up to support you? Dear readers, a person endures immense pain in life, yet they continue to exist like a living corpse. This world is very cruel. If you share your grief with someone, they often turn it into a joke. There are very few people in this world who truly understand the pain of others. If there were no such thing as sorrow in my life, perhaps I wouldn't understand the value of blood relations. If there were love in these bonds, then Yusuf wouldn't be sold in the markets of Egypt. Every person encounters pain and sorrow. For some, like Dilaway's and Mawish, life is filled with it. For others, happiness and sadness are balanced. Regardless, this world is such that everyone eventually leaves you. But your sorrows stay with you. They are the only companions that walk with you every step of the way. Between these sorrows, life is being spent. Who knows when this suffering will end? And then, the order for Riyaz's execution was finalized. The final meeting. In their last meeting, Riyaz spoke to his wife, Farzana. He said, "Farzana, take great care of my children. Make sure Dilaway's becomes a doctor and Mawish becomes an engineer. Don't be upset with me. Don't bring the children tomorrow. It will be too painful for them. And please, take care of my mother as well." Farzana replied through her tears, "Riyaz, I am not upset with you. Tomorrow, you will no longer be with us. You will be with God. I promise you that I will fulfill your dream. We will never forget you. Our good prayers will always be with you." Dear readers, I couldn't help but cry. How much courage did his wife have? She knew this was her final meeting with her husband. This was their final meeting. She knew that after today, she would never see him alive again. The next day, Riyaz's body was handed over to his family. When his body reached home, everyone was in tears. Even his enemies were weeping that day. A massive crowd gathered for his funeral. And with heavy hearts, he was laid to rest. I don't know why there is no loyalty left in this world. Why do people turn into strangers? Why do they hurt others, just for the sake of their own fleeting happiness? Dear readers, the pain given by strangers doesn't hurt as much as the betrayal of one's own kind, just as betrayed his own brother and sent him out of this world. This world is truly selfish. People don't even remember God without a reason. Today's human being is one thing on the outside and something entirely different on the inside. Everyone has wrapped themselves in a shell. Life is incomplete without true friendship, but good friends are hard to find. My message to all brothers is this: you may endure hardships yourself to provide comfort to others, and always find joy in the happiness of others. Sacrifice your own happiness for the sake of humanity. To Mrs. Farzana Dilaway's, Mawish, and Nadia, you all reached out to me through the newspaper. I have accepted you as my sisters and your mother as my own. I promise that I will always stand by you as a brother and share in the grief of your father's loss. My dear sister Dilaway's, please start preparing for your studies. I will bear all the expenses for you to become a doctor and for to become an engineer. This is my promise to you, and I will fulfill it through the platform of Jawa PRs. Pray that my life becomes meaningful.